The cost to execute routine knowledge work, analyzing a spreadsheet, generating a standard memo, or writing basic code, has dropped to practically zero. Large language models can now replicate these tasks instantly through an API. For over 100 years, we measured intelligence by how much information a person could hold in their head. If you could memorize the tax code, recall legal precedents, or master a technical manual, you held immense economic value. Information was scarce, and the human brain was the best storage device we had. This illustration shows what we call the Great Divergence. On the left, you see the rigid, blueprint logic of our past. On the right, the organic, flowing networks of our future. We are watching our civilization's operating system get rewritten in real time. Memorizing facts and executing linear steps is no longer a premium skill. These new probabilistic systems are powerful statistical machines. They recognize patterns in mountains of data to predict what word should come next, but they do not possess lived experience. They don't have common sense, and they do not actually understand the concepts they process. They also have strict mechanical limits, like a context window. Imagine stacking papers, books, and notes on a small desk. Eventually, things fall off the edge. When a machine processes too much information in a single interaction, earlier instructions and details begin to slip away. Because it operates on probability rather than comprehension, the machine can generate completely fabricated information while sounding entirely confident. These errors are known as hallucinations. We now have a tool that performs routine cognitive labor for free, but frequently makes confident mistakes. Simply storing facts and executing basic logic is no longer enough to keep a human economically relevant. This vulnerability was built by design. In the 19th and 20th centuries, we adopted the Prussian model of education, seen here. Notice the uniform rows and top-down instruction. The system was engineered to prioritize compliance and standardization over inquisitive thought. That classroom fed directly into environments exactly like this factory floor. The Industrial Revolution required predictability. It needed human workers who could scale up rapidly and act as reliable, interchangeable components within a massive machine. This diagram illustrates cognitive atomization, drawn from Taylorism. Complex labor was broken down into routine units. We trained generations to act as human processors. The goal was to learn fixed rules and execute a linear path without error. Go to school, get a degree, execute the routine tasks, and secure a guaranteed job. It was a highly effective deterministic path, but it only functioned because finding and storing information was incredibly difficult. The exact traits our schools and workplaces perfected over 150 years, flawless repetition and rigid compliance, are exactly what probabilistic AI models have just mastered. The machine layer now owns routine execution. It operates in a mathematical universe, processing tokens and mapping relationships at speeds no biological brain can match. But this raw generative power produces a byproduct: information entropy. We no longer live in a world where data is hard to find. We live in an environment overflowing with infinite, highly convincing noise and synthetic errors. This chart illustrates the required shift. On the left, the legacy model, humans on a cognitive assembly line. We must elevate workers to the control layer. You become a systems architect, overseeing the interconnected loops of information running beneath you. Look at the center of this graphic. This represents epistemic vigilance. It is the mandatory human skill of acting as a high-level gatekeeper. You must actively filter, verify, and synthesize Bereshkin's chaotic, probabilistic output to extract actual truth. We exercise this vigilance through prompting. A prompt is how we provide the machine with the context, audience, and constraints that it natively lacks. It is the bridge connecting human intention to artificial capability. This gives us a new calculus for human value. Your professional utility is now determined by multiplying your metacognitive skills by the capability of the AI you use. Because those variables are multiplicative, the math is unforgiving. If you blindly accept machine output without critical judgment, your metacognition is zero. No matter how powerful the AI gets, your total economic utility will be zero. We are standing at a definitive crossroads. This graphic outlines the dual threats of holding on to an industrial mindset. On the left, immediate economic irrelevance, as your skills are matched by a free API. On the right, something much worse, cognitive atrophy. When we continuously offload our thinking to unaudited machines, we lose the mental muscle required to discern reality from generated noise. We become empty vessels for synthetic data. The alternative is systems literacy. This diagram shows the whole human rising above the mechanical gears. It represents our capacity to apply high-level judgment, to anticipate unintended consequences, and to see the entire interconnected picture. The division of labor is now clear. The machine layer has flawlessly mastered the how of production, but a statistical probability model cannot envision purpose. Only a human can define the why. You don't need to be a software engineer to thrive in this environment. You don't need to outcompute an algorithm. You simply need to apply your agency, your empathy, and your capacity for care to the systems you manage. Being smart is no longer about storing the right answers in your head. Mastery now belongs to those with the literacy to ask the right questions and the vigilance to verify the world around them.